Welcome back to the news at 10. The traditional ruler of Jakura town in Lokoja local government area of Kogi State, Chief Usman Ajibola, has been kidnapped. The chief and his son were returning from a trip when the kidnappers attacked them. The abductors, numbering about 5, were said to have attacked the traditional ruler this evening and whisked him away, while his son, Rufai Ajibola, was killed as he struggled to rescue him. Channels Television discovered that the driver of the traditional ruler was also kidnapped. The Kogi State Police Public Relations Officer, Mr. William Aya, said the incident is being investigated by the command with a view to arresting the perpetrators. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, has asked cement manufacturers in the country to bring down the price of cement, an essential construction material. Now, he was speaking at the grand commissioning of the $350 million Bua cement plant in Sokoto State, where he also restated the federal government's commitment to ensuring a friendly environment for the private sector to thrive. Also present at the event was the State Governor, Aminu Tambuwal, who congratulated the chairman of Bua Group for the successful completion of the project.
Kalambaina in Sokoto State is home to an estimated 100 million tons of limestone. Thankfully, Bua Group is putting it to good use with the construction of this new cement factory sited 100 kilometers from Niger Republic and 200 kilometers from Benin Republic. The Bua cement plant is set to be in a strategic location. An advantage the executive chairman of the company says has made the company the largest single private-led investment in northwest Nigeria.
What we have done here is a pointer to the fact that Nigeria is ready for business with the right policies and right enabling environment. The plant, which is equipped with some of the best cement manufacturing technology, is a statement in innovation.
For the host governor, this is good news, but he encourages the company to pay attention to the people and the environment.
The environment belongs to all of us. It is our responsibility to ensure its preservation and conservation for sustainability. While applauding the chairman for this economic milestone, which will positively impact the business's fortune of the state, I would like to assure you that the continued support of the state government in this direction. I have to, however, emphasize the need for synergy between the state government and the company in the pursuit of its activities.
Nigeria's vice president then makes 2 specific requests.
2 issues I believe will require attention. The first is the price of cement. It surely can be cheaper. I know the standard arguments, power, transportation costs, etc. But it is still a very lucrative business. And I know that it is possible that between Samad and his dear brother Aliko and others, they can bring down the price of cement. The second is concrete roads. The second issue is concrete roads. We can change the narrative on road construction dramatically if we think through using concrete for road building in Nigeria.
The $350 million plant is expected to create 2,000 direct jobs, which will benefit Sokoto State and the country at large.
Chinese-owned businesses are gaining more prominence in Nigeria, changing the market dynamics to a large extent. And as such, First Bank Nigeria Limited today held the Chinese Customers Forum in Lagos to explore areas of cooperation and service with its Chinese customers and Nigerians doing business with China.
This relaxed breakfast atmosphere is designed to help First Bank's customers interact freely with it. As expected, businessmen want to make a profit with minimal leakages.
One of the challenges for business people is this introduction of account maintenance charge. We have also made a provision to ensure that you can have a seamless business in that area without incurring any of those charges.
Have any plans for technology?
A much more involved interaction brings up more suggestions for collaboration.
We can create a collaboration between Nigeria Stock Exchange and Shanghai Stock Exchange and Shenzhen Stock Exchange.
From the tone of the meeting, it is clear that the participants are excited about what the future holds for the Chinese-Nigerian bilateral trade.
Given the fact that we are in Nigeria and we're also operating from 6 other African countries where China and Chinese businesses are becoming extremely important. Today's forum was organized to just deepen our relationship with the key Chinese customers, the view to taking the relationship to the next level.
Especially with this new Chinese yuan currency swap by the federal government, we believe it's an exciting opportunity for us to be able to assist our customers, to be able to at least use that as an avenue to boost their trade.
In the past 3 years, the export from Nigeria increased a lot to China.
First Bank is the first Nigerian bank to establish a presence in China and was recently appointed as one of the settlement banks for the bilateral currency swap deal between Nigeria and China.
The River State Board of Internal Revenue today sealed off the premises of Niger Delta Development Commission over alleged non-payment of tax running into hundreds of millions of naira. The tax team leader explains that the action is based on a court order after several attempts to get the commission to pay allegedly failed. The management of the NDDC, however, describes the action of the tax agency as unfortunate, especially when the commission has started paying up. Our correspondent Emmanuel Ire reports.
With hundreds of companies currently operating in Port Harcourt, the state believes its current revenue generation is a shadow of its potential. The State Board of Internal Revenue is exploring all tax options, including the sealing off of more than 32 companies so far for tax-related offences. On this day, the tax team comes knocking on the doors of the Niger Delta Development Commission to seal off the premises.
Over the years, we've tried so many times to audit this company in pay withholding tax. It's not been possible because they wouldn't volunteer information. So that is why we had to approach the court for redress to levy the strain on NDDC, and that's what we are here to carry out this morning.
Soon enough, some members of the management of the commission arrive as they put heads together on the matter. Workers at the commission are stranded as both parties discuss the matter with the intention of arriving at a resolution.
It's important for us to restate that the NDDC, as a responsible corporate citizen, had begun to dispense with all obligations as raised. Last week, following conversations with them, we had paid the first of the tranches we agreed mutually to use as a process to dispense the entire obligation.
The payments that were made before the ex parte order. This element of tax we're talking about is withholding tax in arrears for 2014 to date. And we had made frantic efforts to get these issues resolved. Promises were made that were not fulfilled according to the agreement that was reached, or we are reached. And that's what we came here to recover. For goodness sake, tax is a creation of law. And what their professionals have been doing the calculation. So what they calculated is supposed to attract interest and penalty for late payments.
As at the time of this report, the Commission had commenced the process of making another payment, but with a huge loss of man-hours. The River State Board of Internal Revenue, however, vowed to continue to hunt tax defaulters in the state. Emmanuel Ire, Channels Television News.
Thanks a lot, Ijoma, and welcome to Business News. The Managing Director of the Bank of Industry, Mr. Olukayode Ekwiton, has been speaking about the impact of the $750 million loan from Afrexim Bank on the nation's economy. According to him, one of the key objectives of this loan is to boost large, micro and medium enterprises in the country.
This money is medium term, it's 3 years. the pricing is LIBOR plus 6%, which is very good when you look at the rate Nigeria normally borrows. And the idea is to support the industry. People are asking, what about the foreign currency rate risk? All of this money has been swapped 100% to the Central Bank of Nigeria. By the way, without the support of Central Bank of Nigeria, the Ministry of Finance and Industry, and a few other parastatals, this would have been impossible. What this one will allow us to do is that it gives us additional roughly 250 billion naira, depending on the exchange rate that we are using, between 230 to 250 billion naira to deploy to the industrial sector.
Let's move over to the forex market now, where the Central Bank of Nigeria has continued its intervention with a supply of $210 million to help meet customers' requests in various segments. A breakdown shows that $100 million was offered to authorized dealers in the wholesale segment of the market, $55 million each to the small and medium enterprises, as well as for invisibles. Last week, the CBN injected $210 million to meet customers' demand in the wholesale segment of the market, and it has promised to do more interventions. Nigeria's stock market remained subdued for the second day in the week, with the all-share index falling to new lows following sustained sell pressure by investors in key bellwether stocks. Let's hear more from Chimeze Obiwagu.
Thank you and welcome to Stock Market Reports. Investors at the equities market are not smiling at all as the index sank below the 37,000 level, down 0.81% today. Despite the 3 naira gain by industrial giant Dangote Cement, that sector took the heaviest beating, no thanks to Lafarge Wapco, which shed about 8% of its share price. Oando shares dragged the oil and gas sector down the second day. The company, in a statement, has denied being a party to the ruling by the London Arbitration Court in relation to a $680 million payment, and has promised to update the market on any reports that may have bearing on investors' decision and the value of their shares. The consumer goods is another sector that was badly hit, with losses recorded by Okomu Oil and international breweries. Transaction volume and value remain low. With the earnings season having kicked off, traders are only hopeful that the expected positive results from quoted companies might just turn the market around. And that was the Stock Market Report. I'm Chimeze Obiwagu.
Thanks a lot, Chimeze. U.S. and European stock markets have closed today's trading session higher following strong performance from technology giants, while investors digest more corporate earnings. Let's see the numbers for today. And that's business news for tonight. Thank you for watching. I am Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Joma.